Albert Sidney Fleischman, also known as Sid Fleischman, was born on March 16, 1920 in Brooklyn, New York, to Jewish immigrant parents Reuben and Sadie. Sid Fleischman grew up in San Diego, California during the Great Depression. As a young child, Sid developed a strong interest in magic, and after graduating from high school, he traveled widely in vaudeville acts and with a midnight ghost and goblin show. Sid was quoted saying, "I was on my way to becoming a writer, I just didn't know it yet." Sid Fleischman enrolled in San Diego State College. This was where he met his future wife, Betty Taylor. After serving in the U.S. Naval Reserve during World War II, in 1949, Sid finished college and graduated with his bachelor's degree in English from San Diego State. After graduating with a degree in English, he worked as a reporter for the short-lived newspaper, the San Diego Daily Journal, covering everything from crime scenes to the political beat. Drawing on his reporting experiences, his knowledge of magic, and his tour of the Pacific, he produced a series of novels. Sid married Betty Taylor in 1942. She later died in 1993. Before Betty passed, the two had 3 children together, Paul, Jane, and Anne. Sid Fleischman's children did not understand what he would do all day. He said, "My young children led me into writing young children's books. They didn't understand what I did for a living. Other fathers, they learned, left home in the morning and returned at the end of the day. I was always around the house. I decided to clear up the mystery and wrote a book just for them." Sid wrote his first story for his children called Mr. Mysterious and Company, and included himself and his family as characters. Mr. Mysterious and Company was also his first published book. Sid Fleischman has written over 60 fiction and non-fiction books for children. He has also written fiction books for adults and books on magic. The Whipping Boy, which took Sid 10 years to write, is a novel for 6 to 10-year-olds. The story is about a spoiled, attention-seeking prince who is constantly misbehaving. Since no one can raise a hand to the prince, he is given a whipping boy, Jemmy, whom is constantly beaten due to the actions of Prince Horace. The prince decides to run away and demands that Jemmy be his servant during his journey. They become the center of some dangerous moments involving highwaymen, but in the end, a trip to a fair opens Prince Horace's eyes. He overhears some people talking about him being missing and how much worse their lives would be if the prince became the king. This deeply saddens the prince, and he decides he is ready to go home. The prince explained the adventure to the king, and the king decided to pardon Jemmy. Prince Horace and Jemmy end up living in the palace as best friends. Paul Fleischman, Sid's eldest child, followed in his father's footsteps to become a writer and poet, whom has also won a Newbery Medal for Joyful Noise, Poems for 2 Voices. Sid Fleischman and his son Paul are the only father and son to receive Newbery Awards. Sid Fleischman was a teller of tall tales and a humorist who often set his stories in the American West or farm country. Such an example of one of the best tall tales comes from the story McBroom the Rainmaker, which chronicles the impossible happening of Josh, Melissa, and their 11 red-headed children on their Iowa farm. A big drought has overcome the family farm, leading to cows giving powdered milk and mosquitoes growing almost as large as cowsheds. McBroom comes up with a great unique way to end the drought and produces rain. Sid also wrote a number of non-fiction books based on famous people, including Escape, the story of the great Houdini, The Trouble Begins at 8, and his last book, Sir Charlie Chaplin, the Funniest Man in the World. One of Sid's fiction novels, The Midnight Horse, is about a young orphan boy by the name of Touch, who is traveling to meet his great-uncle Judge Wigglesworth. While traveling, Touch sees the Great Chefalo, a magician ghost, for the first time. Touch endures a great deal of trouble with his great-uncle, and luckily is helped by the Great Chefalo in turning a bale of hay into an average horse for his escape. Sid finds his ideas everywhere. His novel, The 13th Floor, began with the superstition that there was something evil and magical in the number 13. In this novel, newly orphaned Buddy Stebbins stumbles onto the 13th floor of a shabby old building and finds himself transported aboard a leaking pirate ship in a howling storm, 300 years in the past. Sid said that when he knew very little about writing, he wrote very fast. Later in his writing career, Sid took a lot longer to complete a short book. It took him about 3 months to a year. Sometimes it took Sid even longer when he had difficulty with the characters. He was quoted saying, "I write my books in the dark. I don't like to know what's going to happen next until I get there. It sustains my interest. I'm anxious to get to my desk each morning to find out what is going to happen." The most prestigious honor that has come to Sid Fleischman is the Newbery Award of 1987 for The Whipping Boy. His books have also won similar awards offered by Holland, named the Silver Pencil, and Belgium's Prix de Literature Infantine Award. Sid's latest awards include Sid Fleischman Humor Award in 2003 from the Society of Children's Book Writers and Illustrators, the Literary Fellowship in 2002 from the Magic Castles Academy of Magical Arts, the Golden Dolphin Award in 2002 from the Southern California Children's Booksellers Association, and the Focal Award in 2002 from the Friends of Children and Literature. Sid Fleischman has been honored with over 15 other different awards. To name a few, Sid was a finalist of the American Book Awards, a silver medal winner for the Commonwealth Club of California, and an award winner for the California Young Reader Medal. Sadly, Albert Sidney Fleischman lost his battle to cancer on March 17, 2010 at his home in Santa Monica, California, the day after his 90th birthday. He maintained an interest in magic all his life and enjoyed gardening, astronomy, hand printing, radio, and classical guitar.